Hi, my name is Ben Kish, and I am the director of the Small Business Center here at Blue Ridge Community College. One of the things I do quite often is to help people prepare business plans so that they can make sure that they have adequately thought through and planned and prepared to launch their small business. Well, your instructor has asked that I put together a short video for you that would take that very process and talk about what that might look like for a child care company to be started. So what I'd like to do is take some slides that I've used both in curriculum and teaching and on the Con Ed side of the college to work with entrepreneurs who are interested in preparing their own business plan. Let's take a look at some of those. So one of the first questions you might ask is, why do I need a business plan? Who reads it? Well, there's really two main audiences. One, it's you and folks within your organization, and the other is people outside your organization, which can often be lenders, investors, landlords. Could be any number of folks that would like to have a better understanding what is it that you're undertaking, particularly if you're asking them to partner with you in some way. So then your next question may be, okay, fine, not done this before. What goes into a business plan? How do I design it? And the answer to that is fairly simple. Business plans generally have a set structure. They generally have set contents, an outline, if you will, or a template that can be used to address the main points that A, need to be thought through, and B, may need to be communicated to others. You can put your own fingerprint on a business plan. It can be in your voice, but in general, you're going to follow a format that I'll share with you here in just a minute, and you're going to write in a way that's both professional and comfortable. You do not have to be writing like you're a PhD or a world-famous entrepreneur that's accomplished great things with their business career. It can be your voice, and that's good news. Now, there's a number of ways where you can get this template or get this content put together. One is there's a lot of examples on the internet, and secondly, there is a number of software packages that can help you with that. I would add a third. You can come to the local small business center and we'll help you with this for free. And I highly recommend that one because we are here, we do this quite often, we know what banks, investors, and even just entrepreneurs need to make sure that the plan is adequately put together. But the second point on the slide here is a good one. Don't lose your sense of excitement as you're preparing this, as you're writing this, because that's one of the things people are looking for. This isn't just an exercise that you have to do or an assignment that you possibly have to do. This is really something that you are passionate about, and it should come through as you put your plan together. So let's talk about what's in the plan. First off, the table of contents will list all the different sections of your plan. The executive summary will be kind of an overview of what's in it, although you'll write this last because you want everything to be done. Industry analysis is basically you're explaining the landscape of what your company is going to participate in, what the industry's like, what the markets are like. You can find a lot more details on what's in a industry assessment. They sometimes call them different things: situation assessment, environmental scanning, things like that. But basically, you're going to tell the story of what is the environment that your particular business will function in. The general company description is just that. Your products and services is a breakdown of what you are planning to offer. Your marketing plan, and nowadays it should have a pretty heavy component of digital marketing in there and internet-based marketing, explains how you're going to tell your target audience what it is that you are delivering and why you are a unique and compelling provider of your service. And then your operational plan is going to explain how you are going to conduct business, how things will be done. Can talk a little bit about, as the next point says, who's running the organization and who's in the organization. And then the next section talks about your finances. This part is really your personal finances, and it can be an appendix, and it doesn't have to be included. This is only if you have an audience that's going to be interested in how much skin you're going to have in the game. After that, you have a list of the expenses that are required to get started, so equipment inventory, fixturing, all the materials that it takes to put together basically the classroom setting or the comfort setting, depending on how your facility is going to be laid out. Then you have your financial plan, and that represents generally three kinds of financial statements: income statement, balance sheet, and cash flow statement. Now, it's too much to go into for this video here, but there's a lot of information on those things that we can share through the Small Business Center, or you can find online, or a good accountant can do that stuff in their sleep. But that's important to include, and it tells the story of what kind of cash flow that you anticipate, what kind of profit you anticipate, and how long it'll take you to go from zero to profitability, and where the break-even points are along the way. So that is basically an overview of the typical table of contents for a plan. The next question comes, what do I do with this? And oftentimes it's submitted to a bank if there's lending. Sometimes you may get in front of other types of investors. Landlords every once in a while want to see these kinds of things. Not necessarily a general deal, but sometimes. And you may have to present this not just in writing, but you may have to make an oral presentation. You may have to stand in front of a group or an individual or two and talk a little bit, and you have a short amount of time. You can't read the plan. So here's a couple thoughts and a couple ideas on how you might prepare for that kind of a setting. The second point here talks about being prepared for questions. If in fact you do present your plan to an audience or an individual, prepare for questions. And if you were in their shoes, what might you ask? And you might have some other people help you, maybe a friend or a family member, or maybe a financial advisor, or someone that helps you put the plan together. Have them prepare some questions that they might ask you as if they were an investor or a financial backer of one type or another, to make sure that you're prepared to field questions, because that's an important part of the presentation exercise. Now, that may feel like a whirlwind trip through the idea or the topic of business planning, and honestly it is. It takes a lot of time to put together business plans, and by that I'm thinking if you really have your ducks in a row, if you have all your information together and you just need to get it down on paper, people can do this in a couple weeks. Generally that's not the case. You have to do a fair amount of homework. You have to do a fair amount of fact-finding, research, and then preparing a thoughtful story of what it is you plan to accomplish. Typically, if you're doing this for the first time, it feels kind of foreign and it doesn't come naturally. Getting an advisor, and that's what the small business centers do across the state in a number of different capacities. You don't necessarily have to come to the small business center. We're here, we're free, we're glad to help, and we do this all the time. There are other entities as well, the Small Business Association, the North Carolina SBTDC, and SCORE, which is provided through the federal programs. There's lots of options. A good accountant, usually a friend or family member that's been through the small business exercises, they can really help with this. I just put our information here for the center because I know we do it, we're here, we're available. We'd love to help students as they tackle these kinds of projects when they graduate and move on, but I just give you the information. You can also just ask us questions. I hope this is helpful. Don't hesitate to contact us if you have more questions about any of the material provided here. It is a quick tour through, almost 10 minutes, and that's a lot in a short amount of time, and be glad to help you in any way we can. Hope your semester goes well. Best of success to you if you do decide to start your own child care company.